Good afternoon. I hope I am also audible. Okay, so we have a question mark.
Okay, that question mark can't be a response to our question, that I'm sure. Okay, yes, great. Okay, that means we're audible. Brilliant. So without wasting any more time, I think we are already about 4-5 minutes late. So yeah, let's not waste any more time. So guys, the basic objective of today's session is to discuss a little bit about PGDBA. But before we get into that, why is it that we're holding this session at this point in time? Now, there are basically going to be two categories of students as of today. If you look at the MBA entrance examinations that you all have been prepping for, NMAT is more or less done. 17th was the last date, so NMAT is over. CAT is over. In fact, you probably even know your scores by now and know what the expected percentile should be. SNAP is over. Again, you would probably know where you stand with respect to your scores in SNAP as well. IFT is over. You already know your percentile there because NTA has gone ahead and released that, and probably on Monday you will even know whether you've been shortlisted or not. So 4 of probably the top 5 or 6 exams are already done. What you have left is ZAT and TISNET, both of them coming back to back in the first week of Jan itself. So either you have already done decently well for yourself and cracked at least one of these 4 exams, or you know that you have a good chance of getting a call from a top B school, or perhaps you're in a situation where you feel that perhaps you've not hit your potential. You might get a few calls, you might not get a few calls, but you know that you can do much better, and there is a probability that you can probably aim a little higher. Irrespective of the situation that you're in, there is a particular course and a particular exam that perhaps all of us out there are slightly unaware of. And that exam or that particular course started just about 3 years back. The course is PGDBA, Postgraduate Diploma in Business Analytics. And that, it's such a unique course because it's probably the only course as of today which is run by the top 3 institutes of the country. All 3 of them located in West Bengal, ISI Kolkata, IIT Kharagpur and IIM Calcutta. So it probably gives you the best of 3 worlds. ISI Kolkata, known for statistics. It'll probably orient you a little bit more towards data, how to handle data, how to analyze data. IIT Kharagpur, very well known when it comes to the IT sector, so it will probably help you with a little bit more in-depth knowledge into machine learning, AI, and how that can be used in order to analyze and predict trend patterns. And then finally, IIM Calcutta, which all of you all already know, considering that you all are, MBA aspirants, and that will probably be one of the top B schools that you all are all aiming for. Now, all 3 of them have come together and, created such a brilliant program which aims at helping you, propel your career, specifically if you're looking at a career in business analytics. So what we are going to do today, between GP and me, we'll probably discuss a little bit more about, first of all, what is business analytics? Why is it one of the most wanted careers as of today, in India and abroad? And then probably delve a little deeper into what the PGDBA program is all about. What is the kind of program structure that they have? What is the pedagogy that they will use? What is the current batch breakup, so that, in case you all have doubts of whether I am eligible, whether I am a fresher, will I be able to get in? I have 5 years of work ex, will I be able to get in, and so on and so forth. And then delve a little deeper into the kind of questions that come in the PGDBA exam, so that you realize that probably a little bit of effort for about 40-45 days, and you have a very, very good chance of probably getting into one of the most wanted programs currently in the country, and perhaps something that might even surpass probably, ABC in a matter of 2 or 3 years. So that's basically what we are going to, focus on in today's session. I'll move over to GP to probably start off and take this forward and probably share, in case he has some pointers before we start off.
Okay, one of the things that we need to remember when we are talking about this program, we are talking specifically of this program by these 3 institutes. Business analytics, there are multiple courses available, many institutes are running it, but this is a kind of a unique program where 3 institutes which are top-notch institutes in their own specific areas have come in. And which is why it makes this program very, very unique. IIM Calcutta, gets its business orientation. ISI Calcutta gets this maths and the statistics background, and IIT Kharagpur the engineering but into it. So three top-notch institutes, leaders in India in in their own domains, coming together and offering a program that's unique. Secondly, purely from a career point of view, the best thing about this program is that it is IIM Calcutta which is in a way responsible for the placement. Okay, and as far as the industry connect is concerned, possibly IIM Calcutta has the best. IIM Calcutta has the best industry connect among all institutes in the country, not only among MBA institutes but among all institutes. Not that IIT Kharagpur and ISI Calcutta don't have it; they have it. That's also good. But when you're talking about a business analytics program, we are focusing purely about applying analytics to business. That is where IIM Calcutta, let's say, is head and shoulder above all other institutes. IIM Calcutta, some of you may remember or may not be aware, at one point of time, IIM Calcutta used to run a program called PGDCA, Postgraduate Diploma in Computer Application, which was at par with the PGP program. And in fact, this was a preferred program over PGP when it was being run. Later on, it was merged with the PGP program, postgraduate program.
I was actually the last batch.
Oh,
I was the last batch.
Okay, so
PGDCA.
So we know we have Gautam Bawa here, who is the last batch of PGDCA. But till that time it was running, it was preferred over PGP. That's what you need to remember. And I see PGDCA, this PGDBA being in the same direction. Okay, so from let me put it this way: PGDCA with improvements has transformed into PGDBA. That's one way to look at it. And again, if you talk to your seniors, friends who are from the industry, if they remember PGDCA, they will talk only of positive things about it. Okay? And from your point of view, the final 2 semesters, when placement happens, I am repeating myself, is at IIM Calcutta. And that is going to be a huge game changer for everyone. And this is what will make this program. This is what has made the program get terrific placements. In fact, its placements are better than that of PGP in fact.
Yeah. And I'll probably just add one word there. You know, the cutoff for PGDCA, you know, when you compare it to PGP, PGDCA in our year, the cutoff was 99.92. The cutoff was that.
Yeah.
So if you had less than a 99.92, you were ineligible, irrespective of your 10-12 undergrads. You could have been 100 in 10-12 undergrads. Below a 99.92, you were not eligible. And generally below a 99.94, it even became slightly difficult to convert that. So that is what that PGDCA program was as well, in case some people are wondering.
And PGDBA at that point, or PGP at that point in time would have been something around 99.2, 99.2
yeah, correct.
percentile.
Yeah.
Okay? Because we are talking about
2011.
6-7 years ago. Yeah. Okay, so back to Gautam and let's get started with the session.
Okay, so guys, as promised, what we'll probably want to start off with is what exactly is business analytics. Okay, so there's a PPT in front of you, so I'm going to go ahead and refer a little to that. So if you look at the entire structure as of today, in terms of, you know, irrespective of whether you're in marketing, whether you're in finance, operations, HR, whichever stream that you're looking at, whichever specialization that you're looking at, every single decision that you make is actually based on data. You know, what kind of advertisement campaigns will I run? You know, in insurance, you know, is there some new kind of insurance policy that I need to keep in mind? Some new kind of thing, Axis Bank recently went ahead and launched a credit card. What kind of data would they have collected and sieved through in order to identify what are the features that the credit card has? What are the advantages that we should go ahead and give? Irrespective of which domain I am in, which stream I am in, data is, you know, paramount importance. Now, basis data, the first thing that you need to do is clean the data. On cleaning the data, which means, you know, moving, getting rid of random. For example, even when we talk about CAT, don't we turn around and state, assume out of the 2 lakh people writing the exam, roughly around 75,000 to 1 lakh are just there to make up numbers. Now those people, when they go in, there are, in general, if you look at it, GP on many occasions does not even attempt the CAT paper, and he realizes 000 ke score pe it's 13 percentile, 15 percentile, 20 percentile. I need to go ahead and clean that data. Why is it that those 15% of the students need to be a part of the data? Perhaps they don't need to be when I want to go ahead and make judgments. So the first part of data is basically analyzing the data. What happened? Why did it happen? Can I clean the data? And once that data set is in front of me, post that, can I now go ahead and start predicting?
If I could just interrupt and pitch in a bit about the way we do our percentile predictions, etc. It is completely based on data. And many times students ask us, how can you give the prediction based on such a small data size? The fact is, we have cleaned up data, we have looked at trends, and hence we can do it. And that is what we have been doing for the last so many years. Okay? Election season. Look at the amount of data. Population of India, 130 crores. Number of voters, probably about 85, 90 crores. Or maybe it's slightly lesser. Data sample which gives you a prediction is maybe about 30, 40, 50,000. So what we need to understand, if you are able to collect the right data, you can get the right inferences out of it. Will it be 100% correct? No, it will never be. But it will be reasonably well, it will be reasonably good. And the accuracy, in fact, is 99% plus most of the time if you do a decent job of it. If you are not, let's say, hindered by your ideology or whims and fancies. If you go purely by data, you will usually not get it wrong. Yeah.
Correct. So basically what we are getting to is, at the end of the day, can I go ahead and collect statistically relevant data? There's even a theory in statistics, which in fact will be a part of, what we'll go ahead, you might go ahead and study in PGDBA. There's a theory called law of large numbers, which actually goes ahead and states any sample size greater than 30, if you've removed anomalies, any prediction you make on that, and generally the prediction will turn out to be true irrespective of what the sample size is. And as GP pointed out, that's exactly what we do in PP. We turn around and state as many people come in as possible so that we can train the, the machine, and then go by and predict when the next year, at least 100, 200, 300, 1,000 students have gone ahead and pulled in, put in their data. So basis all of this data, once it has been accumulated and, I've gone ahead and understood certain trends, can I go ahead and predict something? What will happen? Why will it happen? When will it happen? Under what situations will it happen? Is there a possibility for me to utilize the past, the data that I have collected, to go ahead and predict something? We've all gone ahead, and I remember something called mathematical induction. You might remember that in class 11 or 12 you would have studied. 11. Exactly. What was it? It was just that, wasn't it? You would turn around and state, let me assume n equals k pe true hai. N equals 1 pe proof kar do, then prove it for n equals k plus 1. That means for any k, if it is true for k plus 1, so it is true. It is empirical evidence. I am using data that if it is true for n equals k, then I try and put it to k plus 1. If I can prove it, it's done.
And if I can add, just go back to CAD. What do we do in SQC? The substitution of choices.
Correct.
That's exactly what we do out there.
Exactly. Absolutely. So basically, at the end of the day, can I go ahead and predict something? And once again, all of you all who are looking for any different sector, at the end of the day, all of our roles would be dependent upon predicting. We are sitting here. When we come for a pre-CAT, pre-ZAT, pre-SNAP, post-CAT, post-ZAT, post-SNAP, post-IFT, what do? We predict. How do we predict? We predict on the basis of previous year data. We predict on the basis of this year's data. Once we've spoken to you all, once more and more data has come into the system, that is how our sessions are also built up. So that basically is what data eventually leads to, which is a predictive analysis. Once you have done that, once you understood what will happen, when will it happen, now comes the prescriptive analysis part. So if I know at the end of the day, if I come out with a particular bill, there could be certain amount of unrest as we are observing today. Can I be prepared for it beforehand? If you remember demonetization, all of us weren't against demonetization, we were against the implementation. Was it possible that the data could have been utilized to go ahead and have certain prescriptive measures in place? For example, the peaceful protest that happened in Bombay, brilliantly handled, no issues at all. Why? Because the police was ready. There were prescriptive measures in place. And think of having that in every sector of your life. In marketing, if this doesn't go wrong, if this doesn't go right, basis my analysis, do I have prescriptive measures in place? If I do, I know what to do. Do I have a plan B in place? Do I know what I need to tweak, what I need to do, how do I need to learn to go ahead and do something? And that basically is going to summarize exactly what you do irrespective of the stream you get into. GP spoke about, he spoke about real life scenarios. He spoke about politics. He also spoke about us doing percentile predictors. All of this even goes ahead and happens in cricket. Don't you go ahead and predict, okay, this player, he's not good against the short ball, so my prescriptive measure is bounce him out. First 20 balls, if I bounce him out, ball bouncers, there is a chance he will hook or he will play the pull shot because he's a compulsive hooker or puller, there is a chance he might get out. Virat Kohli, first 20 balls outside the off stump, make him drive. If it is moving a little, chance to get him out. Later than, post that it becomes difficult. Prescriptive measures. That basically is what data is. And why does every single cricket team, every single football team, every single sports team, why do they have a data manager? Because this is exactly what they do. They try learning from trends and they try going ahead and prescripting to their respective players. This is basically the premise of business analytics. And this is exactly what this particular course helps you master. And once you've mastered this, whether it's the consults, whether it's the banking sector, whether it's the marketing sector, whether it's the telecom sector, whichever sector it could be, you would be a perfect fit there because you would know how to deal with data, how to go ahead, understand data, how to go ahead, predict on the basis of that, and how to go ahead, prescribe on the basis of that. That exactly is what business analytics is. Yeah, GP.
Yeah, essentially what this course will do is give you a skill which is sector and domain independent. And it is up to you to decide how you want to, which domain, which sector you want to go to.
Good. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so yes, a few examples given at the bottom. If you can see the video, marketing, finance, HR operations. Remember, it is data. You can train data, you can use data the way you want to, irrespective of the domain, irrespective of the sector, irrespective of the industry, and which is what gives this this course an edge over everything else. As a business manager after doing MBA, if I don't understand data, if I can't handle data, then I will not be able to make the right decision. I will always be dependent on someone who can do it. Okay? So while I have to take decisions have to be backed by data. And obviously, if it has to be backed by data, I should be able to understand data, not only small data sizes, but large data sizes also. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay, guys. So, moving along.
Okay, there's a question.
Sure.
Is coding involved in the course? Is it essential to have a background in computers or IT?
No, so it is not essential to have a background in computers or IT, but yes, there will be a certain amount of coding that will be taught to you because, if I give you a million rows of data and million columns of data, you will not want to use Excel to go ahead and solve it. You would need some other tools, it could be a Jupyter notebook, which can be used. You might be learning a couple of, languages like R or Python, which will help you sieve through data and come up with predictive analysis, but it is not knowledge that you need to carry with you. It is knowledge that will be shared with you. You will be educated on that and then you'll go ahead and practice it and thereby utilize it.
Great. So let's go to the next one.
Okay, so, we spoke a lot about analytics. So, is there some amount of data out there which we can look at and state all that we spoke about in the last 10-15 minutes wasn't crap? This is that data. The analytics jobs worldwide. And the only thing that I would like you all to look at is the first two columns. The data-driven decision makers and the functional analysts. Just look at sectors like healthcare, information technology, manufacturing, professional scientific, and then retail. Perhaps all others than finance and insurance as of today have already seen a shift towards data-driven decision makers vis-a-vis functional analysts. And you might probably see the shift happening in the remaining two sectors in a matter of 6 to 8 months at max. Because this is where the world is moving. As of today, just being functionally relevant, just understanding the functional importance of the profile that you have, been selected for is not going to be enough to go ahead and actually make a difference in the firm that you are at. You need to understand how to read data, how to analyze data, how to prescribe and predict basis data, and thereby go ahead and apply your functional knowledge. And that is something that we can see in all these sectors already.
In fact, if we go back to the, most of you would be still in school in the early 90s. Okay, if you go back to early 90s or even mid 90s, computers were supposed to be something which is outside the domain of business. It was something, there used to be a computer department, there used to be a data entry department, and if you could do Word or Excel, it used to be a huge achievement. Today, you don't talk in that language. Today, if you can't handle if you can't handle a computer, if you don't know how to work on these packages, then it is not going to work. And hence, now for you, it is extremely important to understand the world is moving towards a common thing, which means you have to understand data, you have to be functional analyst, both. A functional analyst who does not understand data is unlikely to be let's say, employable in future. And going forward, you will need to look at both of them together and not one out of the two. Okay. So please remember, the direction is very, very clear in all the cases. Okay. In all the cases. And going forward, another 5 to 6 years, data analysis is likely to become an integral part of all MBA programs in any case. There is still some time, but I would not be surprised if in 2025 the program includes data analysis as an integral part. If you can't handle data, I'm sorry, you can't get into business.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. So that's basically, the outlook that we've been looking at in terms of the analytics jobs worldwide. Moving forward, let's look at what the analytics jobs in India, and it's really not very different. India is already contributing roughly about 6% of the total data science openings available currently. And if you have a look at the data, it states that somebody who has a little bit of knowledge in terms of sieving through data, understanding data, and predicting on the basis of that, their average, median salary is somewhere in the range of about 19 lakhs per annum as of today. Vis-a-vis a person who's just a functional analyst, his or her average salary would be close to the 10 lakh margin, which means it's almost double vis-a-vis somebody who's just got functional knowledge as compared to somebody with functional as well as understanding of data and thereby predicting on the basis of data. This is something that we've already spoken about. What are the possible non-managerial roles? Now compare non-managerial to managerial, and the difference between these two roles, if you connect it to the previous slide, the managerial roles were all dependent upon data. So a CEO vis-a-vis a business analytics, research analyst, data analyst, a CDO, a director of IT, a human resources manager, financial manager, marketing manager. So not only will it help you from a monetary perspective, it will also give you a fillip in terms of the kind of roles that you will get and the responsibilities that you would get. Just the simple understanding of how to read data, how to analyze data, how to predict and prescribe on the basis of data. Yeah. And that is something that I'm keeping on repeating over and over again, because at the end of the day, data is king in today's world.
Yeah. And Gautam, since we have talked about placements, we have a question: how many consulting companies came last year for placements?
Okay, so going forward, I will actually go ahead and we will share a particular slide which talks about placements. But yeah, McKinsey, BCG, Bain, all of them came. All of them came.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so quick outlook at what is PGDBA. Probably GP, you want to take it?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
So as we started off by saying, this program is offered by the top 3 institutes in their own domain. It's a 2-year full-time residential program, and the focus is very clear: business analytics professionals. And the key word here, 2 words are business as well as analytics. Okay, people who can combine the two, that is what they are looking for. Okay, and IIM Calcutta, I'll never be tired of repeating this, right since the beginning has been very clear about this. If you can't handle quant, if you can't handle data, if you can't handle numbers, then you are not fit to become a good manager, which is exactly opposite of what IIM Ahmedabad says, for that matter. And which is why, if I just go back in the past, invariably the IIM Calcutta CAT papers have the most interesting quant. Most people will say difficult, I will call it interesting, because they work on logic, they don't work on memory. Okay?
2018 being the recent
2018,
example.
Absolutely. Okay. And hence the program is focusing on people who have these particular traits if you are looking at. Analytical mindset, ability to handle data, which means an inclination towards maths and numbers. And yes, business is the place where you'll apply all this. Okay. And one of the things I've liked a lot about this program, that's semester based. Now please understand, PGP, which is the program which all the IIMs do for MBA, a 2-year program, that's a trimester based program. Okay. What is the difference? A trimester means 3 terms in a year. Okay. Which means each term is roughly 3.5 months. Okay. Now 3.5 months is typically not sufficient to go deep into any area. So one of the biggest criticism of MBA programs in India and outside is when you go for a trimester based program, you are only skimming the surface, you don't have sufficient time to go deep into anything. Okay. And which is why semester based exams are usually, semester based systems are typically preferred when you have to go deep. And this program is not about skimming the surface. MBA, for all its positives, is about skimming the surface. It gets you well equipped to talk about lots of things. It gives you decent knowledge of lots of things, gives you a good understanding of lots of things, but depth is lacking. Okay? Which is why when you have to get someone for accounting, you will go to a CA, not an MBA finance. Okay? Let's be very clear, MBA great program, but it has a deficiency of lack of depth. The understanding is that student or the professional will be motivated enough to go into the depth himself or herself. That's a huge assumption which is made, but yes, that is the reality. And PGDBA gets rid of that issue completely. Okay. So out of the 4 semesters, 1 semester in each of these, 1 semester in each of the 3 places, and the 4th semester is an internship in a company. And internship and placement is the responsibility of IIM Calcutta. ISI, IIT, basically teaching based. Regular, the way you have been taught in your schools and colleges. IIM Calcutta comes back with its case-based approach, which means it will focus on the application. In the first 2 terms at IIT and ISI, you will get the theory in place, because if you don't understand the theory, you will not know how to apply it. So the theoretical fundamentals are strengthened there, and IIM Calcutta, you will learn how to apply. So application orientation is the forte at IIM Calcutta. Okay. And as I said, 6-month internship, analytics projects in a business organization. Okay. So broadly, this is the scheme of things from as far as the program is concerned. Gautam?
Yeah, sure. So I'll probably just add one thing to it. So the basic story, if you look at it, what all that we were talking about with respect to data now. The first semester, the first 6 months at ISI Kolkata helps you understand how to deal with data, clean data using statistical tools, how to analyze data. Second term, second semester moves to, IIT Kharagpur analytics, which will tell you how to use machine learning, how to use tools to go ahead and predict basis data and then go ahead and prescribe basis that. And finally, the final term, which is saying now that you've learned all the concepts, let's put this into real life analysis by putting it into business problems. Let's pick up 15 companies, 20 companies. Let's look at the analysis. Now you go ahead. I'm giving you data, analyze. What should the firm have done? Then we will discuss what the firm actually did. Was your analysis, what was your recommendation in sync with what was basically done at that point in time? Would there have been changes? What would have been the outcomes? That becomes the trend. And finally, for 6 months in the internship, do it. Real life right now. And the great part about that, which will probably come in the next slide, is the internship actually starts in October. So for example, the batch which is graduating next year, which means in 2020, their internship would have started in October 2019. Okay. Now October, November, December done. It's a 6-month internship as we spoke about, which means March 2020 mein internship ends. Actually, by December of 2019, the PPOs are announced. That means within 3 months they announce PPOs. And last year, almost 70% of the batch got PPOs. That means within 3 months of interning, You've just completed 50% of your internship. The PPOs have been announced. You spend the remaining 3 months in completing your internship, and 70% of y'all are happy, and you know that, I've been placed in the firm that I was interested in. That's exactly the formulation, and it makes a lot of sense. As GP has been talking about, you are utilizing the core strength of every institute. And that is the best thing about this program. Math, stats use ho gaya Kolkata ka, predictive analysis through, basic AI ML done through IIT Kharagpur, finally applying it in business scenarios and helping you get an internship and get placed, IIM Calcutta.
And one of the criticisms people come out with is, why are you making the students go through to different institutes for every term? Why can't the profs come? They can. But please understand, when you're spending those 6 months in ISI Calcutta, you are effectively getting completely immersed in mathematics. You will not be contaminated by analytics or by business. Okay, so there is a huge utility, or let's say benefit, of spending those 6 months or that one complete semester in that institute, because the entire environment changes. If all of these were done in Calcutta right from day one, IIM Calcutta right from day one, they would be focused on business, or at least you'll be contaminated by the business thoughts. You need to get your fundas in place first, and which is what a stint in each of the institute does.
And the best part is, you don't even need to take a flight. It's all in Cal. Kharagpur is on the outskirts of Cal, ISI Calcutta there, IIM Calcutta there. So, just pack it up, move.
So, Gautam, there are a few questions.
Sure.
Few questions, let's look at them also. PGDBA at IMB and NMIMS Purdue, are they the same?
PGDBA, so the Business Analytics Program at IIM Bangalore and
NMIMS Purdue.
No, so they're different programs, for sure. Once again, the PGDBA program or the Business Analytics program at IIM Bangalore, is a program that has been running for some time now. Good industry, interactions because of, once again, IIM Bangalore, a very good program, and I would have probably gone ahead and stated, had this program not come up, it would probably have been the best business analytics program out there. So if you're interested in business analytics, I think it's a very good question. You should look at IIM Bangalore BA as well, and that is through CAT.
Okay, and any advantage in placement process if I have experience of 1 year as data analyst in consulting company?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. We keep stating that, even for a PGP program, say tomorrow I want to go ahead and work in a McKinsey, and I've already worked in McKinsey Knowledge Center, back end, and my 10-12 undergrads are good, then I always do hold that key when it comes to McKinsey finally coming to recruit, because that interaction and that, my profile and the fact that I've already worked in McKinsey goes in my favor. So obviously it will go in your favor, but I would say there is an advantage of having that, but not having that is not a disadvantage. Look at it from that perspective.
Okay, great. Course overview. Okay. So very quickly we'll run through it. I don't think we need to spend too much time on it. You can read these subjects.
Yeah, I think it's once again exactly what we were talking about. Semester 1, same stochastic analysis, statistical structure, understanding how data can be analyzed. Semester 2, understanding, basic stats and using a little bit of algorithm design and ML to go ahead and predict and identify trends. And finally, semester 3, going ahead and applying it in business world scenarios. And look at the courses that they've handpicked at IIM. Eco, project management, strategic management, corporate finance, human resource. Just look at it. Every single sector done. Every single sector handled. Stratman means you've done strategy, Genman as well as marketing. Project management, corporate finance, Fin has been taken care of, including Eco. HRM taken care of. And you can choose 4 more electives. If I'm interested in ops, I'll take 2 more electives in ops.
Yeah. So probably I'll be repeating myself, but yes, a very well structured program, and which is why it becomes better than IMB PGDBA. Okay.
Sure.
So let's move to the next one.
Yeah. Oops, sorry. Yeah. Okay, so the eligibility criteria, I think this is a question that, a few of you all have already asked me before, and we felt that it was very pertinent to put this up here. Just look at it, okay? So eligibility hai kya? They are basically, in short, looking at you having done or you having studied for at least 4 years after your class 12. Okay, so that means 10 plus 2 plus 4, which means all the BTech people, you all are eligible. 10 plus 2 plus 5, which means integrated course. मैंने MSc and BSc combined together 5 years, lovely, you are eligible. Okay, 10 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2, which means I have done BCom, then I did MCom. I did, Eco Honors Bachelor's, then I did Masters in Eco Honors. I'm eligible. But do keep in mind, if you've just done the 3-year undergraduation course in say BCom or Eco or say, arts or something like that, you're not eligible. You need to have 3 plus 2 or ideally an integrated program if it's a 10 plus 2 plus 5. So please keep that in mind. 10 plus 2 plus 3 is not eligible. Okay, there are a couple of other people, I've at least faced this question where people come out and say, sir, after class 12 I did a diploma and then I went ahead and did an engineering, or I did BCom and then I did CA. BCom and CA is also acceptable. That's the best part about this. I'm quite sure about 50, 60, 70% of students who do BCom, they do CA side by side or vice versa. So that makes you eligible as well. So class 12 done, BCom, CA side by side done, you're eligible. Please keep that in mind.
Yeah, but you should have completed your CA.
Completed.
BCom
Absolutely.
plus CA, and you have done the IPCC and not the next stage, not eligible.
Absolutely.
Okay? And this diploma, typically when you do diploma plus engineering, after doing your 3 years diploma, you join in the second year of engineering. And engineering means it's a 4-year education, so you're eligible. Okay? And so let's look at the next slide, and then we have a few questions which we'll take up. Okay. Yeah, batch size, there was already a question. So this was the composition of the 17-19 batch. Okay. Okay, and let me just pick up the question which had come pertaining to it. Okay. Okay, so I have lost that question, but let's pick up a couple of other questions. Any advantage in placement process if I have an experience of 1 year data analyst? We have already discussed this one. PGDBA over PGDBM of IIMs, we have already discussed that at the beginning. If I have an offer of data scientist at 12 LPA, should I skip out this opportunity and go for PGDBA instead? Absolutely yes. No doubt about it. Because after you have done a couple of years work, you will in any case have to go for higher qualification. And I've always believed the earlier you get qualified, the better it is and it is for your career. The fact only 30 general seats are in PGDBA program, does it mean too much of competition?
Okay.
Yeah, got
yeah, I the way I look at it is, competition nahi hota, then you would not be interested either.
Also, how many people took the paper last year? Any idea?
Yeah.
It is 4,000.
Yeah, just about.
4,000 for total of 60. The batch size was 52, but the selected seat is 60.
Yeah.
So what is the ratio you are talking about? I think it is better than what you have for IIM Calcutta for CAT. Okay.
Yeah.
So 60 on 4,000 again. Look at it this way. At least 2,000 will be just filling up the numbers, not preparing at all. So you're talking about. But if you look at the overall number also, we are talking about 60 on 400. We are talking about the 1.5% success rate. IIM Calcutta does not give you a call if you are less than 99.5 percentile on an average.
99.65.
65 for boys, girls it is 99.23 and 3. So if I take on an average, it will be something like 99.5 percentile. 0.5% versus 1.5%, the chances of success here are 3 times. Okay, so people worry about competition. Frankly, to me, competition is irrelevant. It will boil down to, are you interested in putting in the effort or not?
And do keep in mind, one is, are you interested? Second is also that the people going in for this course are those who have very categorically identified that this is a career path that I want to take.
Yeah.
Because when you go in for an PGDM or a PGP at an IIM, you are basically still open to any particular segment. You might be interested in marketing, consult might happen, fin might happen, HR might happen, ops might, anything. Here, clear. Business analytics sector बाद में देखेंगे, पर analytics. So that clarity also needs to be there. This is slightly different from a PGP, PGDM program in that aspect. वहां पे you say, after 1 year you might still be able to judge and identify where I want to go. My summer's, internship could have been somewhere else in marketing. Finally, I want to go to finance. Possibility there. Here, that doesn't happen. So be very clear about that aspect at least, that you're basically moving to a sector where you're saying, what I'm going to do is going to be data driven and I'm interested in that. That is an important thing.
Couple of other questions. Is analytics career necessary before PGDBA? Obviously not. We have discussed this.
No, in fact, you can see it here. if you look at the breakup,
Yeah.
you will see students with 0 to 6 months of work experience. The last one is 5. So there were 5 out of 52, which means roughly 10% of the students without any experience. And if you look here, less than 1 year, actually, that's 17. That's 1/3 of the batch.
1/3 of the batch. Okay, and you can be safely assuming that these 12, some 7 to 12 months work experience are also not people who have experience in analytics.
And even if they do, they barely have. What would they have done in 6 to 7 months? Almost nothing. So I don't think that's very relevant.
Which one should I choose, IMB or the one you have been talking about? In our list, PGDBA from IIM Calcutta should be preferred over IMB.
Yeah.
If you don't get PGDBA from Calcutta, obviously IMB is the next best option for you. I have completed my BSc in mathematics. Am I eligible? No, it is 15 years of education. You need 16 years of education. The key thing to remember is it is 16 years of education which you need to be focusing on. Okay. 3 years experience in CSR. Will there be any drawbacks? Not really.
No.
If you can do well in the exam, no issues at all. Okay. You will not be discriminated just because you have worked in the domain of CSR.
And actually very interesting to look at it. You know, if we pick up the CSR budgets that firms have with respect to what they earn, I think that's a good data analysis set as well, probably.
Absolutely. And just look at these academic backgrounds. 15%, which means about 8 students are into oil and gas. Manufacturing. Consulting analytics is only 1/4 of 52 students, which means we are talking about 13 students only.
Marketing about 4%.
Okay. So if I combine these two, software, IT, ITS and consulting, we are talking about half the batch out of 50 to about 26 to 28 are from here. The balance are from all over the place. And again, as Gautam pointed out, these people, even if they are into those domains, they hardly have any experience. They would not have got any, let me say, advantage in the interview or in the selection process because of their work experience. Okay, so do freshers have a disadvantage? No. I have work experience of 6 months. Will it be difficult to convert a call? No. One-third of the batch is less than 1 year work experience, so that's not an issue. Is there more emphasis on okay, in the maths exam, we'll discuss the exam in a little while. Do freshers we have done? What admission process we will be discussing? 8 years work experience, will I have a disadvantage?
Okay, so what I'll say is, let's just pick up the batch profile data of the last year. Max that we see is roughly about 60 months. But, slightly difficult to answer that question, disadvantage hoga ki nahi hoga. The way I would look at it is, there will still be opportunities out there for sure. And if you're looking at switching, then this might be a good option. GP, your take on this?
If it's 8 years of experience in related areas, it is not going to be a disadvantage at all, which means if you're into IT, into coding, all those skills will be useful there. And if you have into consulting, analytics, etc., it's a very good program for you to look at in any case. Okay?
Yeah.
Though at the interview stage, I think if you have 8 years of completely unrelated experience, you might be questioned on it. In fact, last year we had in PDP one student from Delhi, 8 years experience, not for PGDBA but for MBA, and into IT and coding. So he also had the same issue, though he converted his calls to XLRA and many other institutes. But this question came in, and for anyone with 8 years work experience, this question will definitely come in. Why now and why this program? So if you can handle these two questions well, it is not going to be an issue at all. Okay, sure. So let's continue now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is basically the timeline for the internship. I'd already mentioned this, so I won't spend a lot of time here. August, so for the batch which graduates in 2021, August is when the internships start, the companies start coming in. October to March is when you actually intern. In December, you actually go ahead and get your PPOs, and roughly about 70% of the batch got their PPOs. And May is when you finally go ahead and graduate. So hypothetically, if you're one of those who doesn't get a PPO, do keep in mind, because the internship also happened from IIM Cal, you sit in your final placements from IIM Cal somewhere in the months of Jan to March. So that's basically the structure.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, interesting. This is something that 90% of you all would want to know. So yeah, just look at the monthlies, type in there. It's about 1.33 lakh per month. I think more than decent monthly stipend for students. And as I was pointing out, 71% of the previous batch.
8 lakhs for 6 months of internship is more than what people get for their jobs.
For their jobs, yeah, with ease. And yeah, as I said, 71% of the batch with PPOs. And do keep in mind, in your final placements, obviously, it will be higher. And when we get to the placement figures, just have a look at the average placement package that we talk about.
And please don't confuse this internship with the kind of internship you do in the engineering, where we basically pass time and manage people and somehow complete it. Here you will have your professor and your reporting manager, both of them will be evaluating you, and there's a serious stuff. This is serious stuff.
15% of total course credits is just the internship. 15%. Do keep that in mind.
Okay. Quick look at the placements. Okay.
So, average salary, I think that's more than IIM ABC currently. 25 lakhs is what the average salary was for the batch that is graduated in 2019. The highest, and this is the domestic highest salary, was about 41 lakhs. And to those who were asking about which firms come, just have a look at it. These are all the firms that came. Some of you all were asking about consult, so your McKinsey's are there. Deloitte is also there, and there are you can actually look at it across sectors. If you look at it, there is BFSI for sure. There are tech firms, the healthcare firms. There are telecommunication firms, and so on and so forth. So this is just a small segment of the firms that actually came to recruit. And you have to understand, in 3 years, this is the level of firms that are coming. So just imagine how much of an impact this course has actually gone ahead and created in the industry already, that all these firms are waiting after they recruit X number of people from the PGP and PGDM program, they still want to recruit from here.
Just a couple of things.
Yeah.
These are the companies who live and die with analytics.
Data.
Totally. Okay. American Express is a kind of a pioneer, because I remember when I graduated from IIM Bangalore in 1993, a couple of my batchmates who joined American Express in 95-96, they were doing analytics. And if someone like American Express, which was doing analytics, data analytics in 95-96, is coming here, you can tell it tells you what is the level of let's say credibility this program has. Okay.
Sure. Okay. And the breakup, if you look at it, as we were pointing out, BFSI is about 42%. FMCG is about 20%, consulting 12%. So those of you who are worried about consulting, healthcare, telecommunication, marketing, tech. So I don't think there's any sector left. There's any kind of profile left. Everybody is coming in.
Okay, couple of questions. Can we get into leadership roles further in career with this degree? Will it be a good choice for long term? Yes, you can. No issues at all.
I think our second slide, where we actually even spoke about the fact that agar tumhe leadership role chahiye, you need to understand data, CEO, CDO, so on and so forth.
So from we have another question. I am currently in my 6th semester. When should I start preparing for the exam? I am thinking of doing PGDBA outside India, which is better doing in India or outside India.
Okay. Good question. First of all, it's good that, this is the kind of course that you're looking at. And yes, there will be a lot of, colleges abroad also which offer certain, a similar kind of course. But look at it from this perspective. You will get into this course in about a year and a half time, right? By that time, probably the average package here would be close to about 30-32. Max salary, and this is domestic that we are talking about, would be about 50. So, and all the top firms that will come and go ahead and recruit, I don't think there is any firm here which you might be thinking of, abroad, which doesn't already recruit from here. So why end up shelling out 1.2 CR when you can do the same thing in about 20-25 lakhs? Yeah, is how I would look at it from an investment perspective.
Okay. Career gap of 4 years, will it be a problem? I was preparing for civil services previously. As I said earlier, it is not an issue. Yes, you will still need to clear the exam. You will need to show your comfort with the program, and you need to justify why not earlier, and how do you justify this gap of 4 years? That's something we will handle at the interview stage. PDP, if you join, will be taking care of it. Won't recession be driving jobs out of India in analytics to China? See, this is not a low-level job. This is not a data entry job. Please understand. This is a highest level of skill, I would say. And if you have this skill, if the job is driven out of India, you will also be driven out of India. You will go where the job is. The number of people who will be good in this area is not going to be high. 50 odd people graduating every year from IIM Calcutta. So don't worry about the session at this point of time.
Yeah, and also probably once again use data to answer that question. Did it affect the summer internships this time during the months of September, October, November? If you see the average package that people are talking about, the number of days in which batches were placed, the days reduced, average package increased. Did it affect the final placement in ISB? No. Will it affect the final placements in ABC? Because those are the level of institutes that you will be comparing yourself with when you get into this program. I don't think so. At the top institutes, it will not make a difference. For the top profiles, it will not make a difference. So I won't be too worried about this as of today.
And just to add to that, the future will belong to someone who's good in function, who's good in data handling. So this is the way careers will move. 5 to 10 years down the line, people like me will be, let's say, extinct, who are specialists in a domain as such, and you will have to look at doing both the things together. So career growth without this is going to be difficult. Couple of other questions. What extra courses do I need if I complete 10 plus 2 plus 3? Any course, do a 1 year program, make sure it becomes 16 years education. You've done BA, do an MA. There are 1 year programs available for IGNOU, which will give you a degree. It will become 16 years of education. Since this is going to be a maths and stats oriented program, it might be useful to look at the 16th year education. Can you do something which is related to this area, which will at least make you comfortable with the area called maths and stats? Okay. Percentiles, etc. We'll come to it. 6th semester, when should I start preparing for the exam? Again, that's a repeat, but let me just address this. My suggestion is don't prepare only for one exam. Prepare for CAT and PGDBA together. Because when we go to the preparation process, you'll find there's a 70% or 80% overlap between CAT and PGDBA entrance exam. So my suggestion would always be PGDBA should be your first preference if that is what you want to do. Let MBA from an IIM be your backup option. Because during MBA also you can choose electives which will take you closer to PGDBA. Okay. So let's continue then.
Sure. So yeah, I don't think there is even a need to answer that question. But yeah, in case you all were still wondering why PGDBA, these are some of the pointers mentioned: best institutes, best faculty, most in-demand specialization, outstanding ROI, uniqueness, so on and so forth. But I think we've spoken enough about this particular program, so I don't think this particular slide is very, very relevant. Overview, I think this is something which is more interesting. So let's have a look at the paper.
It got stuck.
Yeah, just one second.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. So let's have a look at the paper. So first things first. Like CAT, it's a 3-hour paper. Unlike CAT, it's not 100 questions, it's 50 questions. Point number 1. 50 questions, 180 minutes. That's point number 1. Look at the breakup of the paper now. Verbal ability. Now, verbal ability basically is easier than CAT is what I would say. The RC is much easier. And the type of questions, while parajumbles and all of that is something you will study, but the type of questions might be slightly oriented towards SNAP and IFT, which means I give you a sentence, I say correct the sentence, correct the grammar, what should be the missing word, so on and so forth. So not too difficult, a little bit more focus on grammar along with the RCs that you do for CAT, good enough. Which is why I go back to what GP said, if you're prepping for the MBA entrances, the verbal part will not be very difficult. 15 questions handled there. Logical reasoning, data interpretation, bacha. For those of you who prep for CAT, this is kiddish stuff, this is child's play. We'll actually pick up a couple of sets, one set each of LR and DH and just showcase to you the kind of questions that come not very difficult. No cause of concern. You prep for CAT, again handled. That means 25 questions already handled. 50% of the paper done. Remaining 25 is quant. Now even here, and we'll go ahead and we'll break this up, in the upcoming slides. These 25 questions can further be bifurcated into preparation for CAT level and more preparation than CAT level. I'll just put it like that, which means preparation for CAT we keep repeating till class 10. More preparation than that, which means class 11 and class 12. मतलब calculus थोड़ा करना पड़ेगा, conic section थोड़ा करना पड़ेगा, थोड़ा you will need to go ahead and do a little bit of complex numbers and vectors. That's about it. Nothing else. Not too much to worry about. So if I'm looking at it from this perspective, 25 questions out and out CAT. In math, roughly about 12 to 15 questions which are CAT type, which means we are looking at close to 38 to 40 questions which are CAT type. Only 10 to 12 questions which require a little bit more knowledge, which is why I get back to what GP was stating. To those who are looking at it for this year, you need to just prep for 10-12 questions, which means it's a matter of 45 days. To those who are looking at it, the year after that, prep for CAT right now, last 1.5, 2 months, start looking at this. Probably 3 months. That might be the ideal way of going about it. Marking scheme +3 -1, something that we are aware of. Cutoff last year for general category was 105. Given a range, but 105. Okay, so that's basically what the structure was like.
And with 37 to 40 CAT level questions, you could clear the cutoff just by doing these questions. 40 into 3, 120, 37 into 3, 111. And time is not an issue. It's a 3-hour paper. Okay, it's a 3-hour paper, so and it is reasonable to assume that the 11, 12 maths questions are the ones which are going to be more time consuming and more difficult ones. Okay? For most of these students, that is. Okay? So if I say those questions I don't want to do at all, hypothetically, then those remaining on the lower side 37, 38 questions, I have got 3 hours with me. Okay? 180 minutes, almost 4 minutes, 5 minutes per question, it's not going to be an issue at all. Okay. Questions? To give you an idea?
Yeah, just one thing, that is log base E, not log E. So let's just put it there. And yeah.
I think this is sufficient. Substitute and move on. Okay.
As simple as that. I think not much to do. So basic SQC techniques that we've been talking about. We won't delve a little bit, too much time to go ahead and solve all these questions. This is more about orienting you to the kind of questions that come and keeping in mind that, at the end of the day, those questions can be solved with the amount of knowledge that you have as of today if you already prepped for CAT. Yeah. So simple enough question here, as GP pointed out, simple SQC and move on. Okay, alpha, beta, roots of the equation, then the value of alpha plus 1 to the power of -1, which means 1 by alpha plus 1 plus 1 by beta plus 1, basically, is what the question is all about. Matlab, I'm quite sure that none of you all will have an issue here. Looking at the equation, you can get alpha plus beta and you can get alpha beta, and then just go ahead and factor.
Roots भी सीधा ही निकल आएंगे ना?
Yep. As simple as that.
Okay, choices tell you थोड़ा सा तंग कर सकते हैं, but ठीक है.
Yeah.
Combination.
Yeah, so somebody might have been asking कि combinatorics के ऊपर ज़्यादा questions आएंगे कि नहीं, perm, com, probability and all. Yes, a few questions do come. It's not like it's overly dependent on that. And look at the kind of question. All words formed by the permutations of the word WARE are arranged in a list according to the dictionary order. The position of the word WEAR in this list is at what number? But come on. You know the total number of ways is 4 factorial 24, answer is less than that. And the final is when you will start with W. Yeah. So just do 24 minus and you'll see that W and R is what you end with. WR will give you 2. Gone with that. W and E is then when you start with. WERA would be the other one. Gone with another one. So 24 minus 3, 21. I think this can be done mentally.
You can just start writing down from the reverse in the reverse order.
Exactly.
And you'll get the answer.
Exactly.
Standard SQC again.
Yeah, just look at this. Come on. You might probably not even need SQC also here. This is probably even easier than that. X is equal to root 32x. X is equal to root 32x and you're done. क्या करोगे इसमें? This is an actual last year question. Root over 32x. As simple as that. Which means x squared is equal to, so x is equal to root over 32x, which means x squared is equal to 32x. You're
Substitute.
Done. You're done. So once again, just orienting you to the kind of LR set that comes. So just look at it. 5 analysts, P to T, each own at least one mobile phone set. Among the 5 of them, they own 1 Nokia, 2 Samsung, 3 OnePlus, 3 iPhone and 1 Motorola brand handsets. Use the information given below to answer the questions. Analyst who owns Nokia does not own any other. Q owns handset of 3 different brands. The number of handsets owned by S is double of those owned by T, and so on and so forth. This is, I think, the quintessential CAT type level 1, level 2 type of question that you go ahead and solve. Not much time to be spent here. And easy peasy, not too much to go ahead and worry about. So that's how you can go ahead and solve this. This is nothing to worry too much about. And as we keep harping on the fact, LR, make a table, move ahead. Make a table, move ahead. And that is exactly what, GP is also going ahead and creating here.
Yeah, I'm just giving the structure to tell you that
That's it.
This is what is required, and I'm sure everyone is clear about this part. And yes, there will be a total also for all of them, because PQRS is given Q owns 3 different handsets, so Q total has to be 3.
And so on
I
and so
think I'm sure everyone can solve it.
Not much to do here.
Okay.
So those are the kind of LR questions. Then 2 or 3 questions followed up with that. And then just look at this DI set. Following bar diagram represents number of daily wages of 100 laborers in different wage classes on a construction site. Class interval AB, they've defined greater than or equal to A. Why? Because you can see it's closed. And less than B. Why? Because it's an open interval. And the interval from 360 to 400, it's both inclusive. Okay. And now just look at this. It's as simple as that.
It's
wages in rupees.
Yeah, it is elementary stats everyone would have done.
Absolutely.
They would ask you to calculate the average, etc. Yeah. Okay,
number receiving
only number.
At least less than 320.
Arey baap re.
As simple as that.
Kam bhi nahi kara tha. Maximum wage in rupees such that at least 50% of the laborers and
definitely more than that. So straightforward questions, not too much to worry about. So this is just orienting you to the kind of questions that come, so that you realize that it just does not need a lot of info. Yes, I've not put in some of the questions which come from calculus. For example, there could be questions on limits, there could be questions on continuity, differentiation, integration. Yes, they do come. We've not put that up here because the objective that we are trying to showcase is without that also, you might probably get to the cutoff.
See, simple ways, if we look at verbal, LR, DI, these 25 is complete CAT level. On an average, on the lower side, you can say 12 questions on quant is CAT level. And the remaining 13 questions of quant are CAT plus. You may call it plus or plus plus, whatever you want, but this is the basic structure. And this is not what you need to focus on now. Yes, you may take a few papers to practice, to revise, but this is what you need to focus on. And with 40 odd days, this is not going to be difficult, especially if you have studied maths in 11th, 12th. English.
Just look at it.
The nightmare driving between peak, ensure, illicit.
Principle. As simple as that. Nothing much to worry about there.
Okay. So that's the structure given to you. Last year's paper, word usage, 2 questions.
No, questions is that? That's good.
2 questions, huh?
Yeah,
and good attempts is 1 or 2.
Perfect.
3 questions. And if you look at it, the difficulty level is not high. And also because the time available is much more per question basis, it's not going to be a challenge at all. Okay.
So RC would be similar to CAT. So, if you prep for CAT, you kind of handle that.
Similar to CAT 17, 18, 19.
Yep.
Okay. 19 was slightly more difficult. I would believe it's likely to be similar to CAT 16, 17, 18, not 19. Okay. But that's okay.
Yeah, so now let's look at the LRDI quant part of it, and when it comes to quant, we've kind of restricted it to the CAT level quant on this particular slide. So let's have a look at that. LR caselet 5 question. We just showed you the LR caselet. We picked up 2-3 questions from there. That is what it was. The DI bar graph you just had a look at. It is probably not even CAT level. It's easier than that. It'll probably snap level or something. DI table was at par with that. So these are the 10 questions across LRDI. Nothing to worry about here at all. So handled it. And if I'm even looking at it from a time perspective, the 15 questions in verbal probably at max 30 minutes. The 10 questions here probably at max another 30 minutes. That means for quant you have 25 questions to do in 120 minutes. Yeah, GP.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See, in fact, I would say these are not even CAT level.
Yeah.
These are all
SNAP, IFT.
Maybe even lower than that.
Yeah.
Okay? So don't worry about this part. Take a few papers, practice them, but keep your focus purely onto 11th, 12th maths.
Correct. So now if you look at the math part of it, and this is from the topics which you already cover in CAT, functions, basic, utilization of functions, equations, inequations, you're all aware of that. In fact, we just looked at that log 1, right? Very similar to that. Geometry, basic concepts of geometry. We're not talking about higher order geometry. We're not talking about planar geometry here, so don't worry too much. Sorry, we are talking about planar, not about 3D.
This is CAT level.
Yeah, CAT level. Set theory, simple stuff. Perm-com, number system, algebra. So those worried about combinatorics, Perm-com se 2 questions the, not too much to worry about. So overall, if you are looking at it, these 15 questions, not too much to do. 7, 10, about 15 questions here from functions to algebra. This can be handled if you've already prepped for CAT. go ahead, test gym ka once again, look at level 1, level 2 questions, basic, advanced, and you've handled this. The main focus actually comes up in the next part. And this is where, you need to go ahead and prep a little. Specifically, if I'm looking at, geometry, the higher math part of it, here you would probably need to do 3D geometry, a little higher level, functions. Here it will get into probably into, onto, and so on and so forth. Once again, you would have covered it in CAT, but that type of question does not come in CAT. So which is why it's been put up. Trigo a little bit you'll need to know. You'll need to understand the sine, cos, tan rule and how it operates, specifically under the triangles, the cos rule, the sine rule and all of that. Limit and continuity, going ahead and understanding what the L'Hopital rule is. In other words, L hospital is what people talk about. What the definition of limit is, what is the definition of continuity, how limit moves to continuity, continuity moves to differentiation, differentiation moves to integration. These 5 questions perhaps might be the only place where you need to prep, and look at the level of difficulty in limits, continuity, differentiation, integration. Even there it's easy to moderate. They are not asking very difficult questions here in these 5, 6, 7 questions. So probably the only place where you'll need to prep a little bit might be functions, because you need to probably understand how graphs operate and kaise hota hai, trend analysis and so on and so forth. But these 5, 6 questions, basic calculus and all is not going to be difficult. 45 days should be sufficient. And do keep in mind the exam this time is on the 16th of Feb. Last date to apply is the 6th of Jan. So you have a lot of time. You have 15 days to go ahead and apply. And 16th of Feb is when the exam is. That means if I'm sitting here today, which is probably around the 20th of the month, I'm still going ahead and talking about 55 days. Close to 2 months. More than enough. Way more than enough. I'll probably turn around and say, ZAT ki prep karo abhi. Prepping for that is good enough. You'll probably even handle the trigo question here. You'll handle the geometry question here. The only thing you'll need to do is the calculus, limits, continuity, differentiation, integration for 40 days after that. That's it.
In fact, these questions you will find in that 2008 to 2013 papers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. How to prepare? We have talked in detail about it already, so we'll just quickly go through it. As Gautam has already clearly told you, this is where you will score marks. This is where you'll score marks. These are the areas where you have to score marks first of all. And quantitative aptitude, these 25, just make sure those 10, those 10 to 12 or 13 to 15 questions of the 11, 12, the CAT level quant is what you get definitely right. And then you worry about the rest. Okay. This is not a difficult area, and I'm actually surprised. I was actually surprised last year when I found that the cutoff was 105 marks only, which is 35 questions. 35 into 3. I was actually surprised. My feeling was that the cutoff is likely would be probably 120, 25 plus, because you're talking about 35 to 37 questions or 40 questions which are CAT level.
Yep.
So a 37, 38 CAT level question, I felt everyone should have got at least 100 from there and maybe a few questions correct from the higher level maths to get to a 120, 125. But things turned out to be very, very different.
So I'll probably add just one thing here. The RTI data actually stated that the highest score in this paper was 140. Highest was 140. And because some of you all might be thinking, "ठीक है, paper crack कर लिया, done है." I want to showcase to you that there was a student last year, not our student, but I know him.
140 on 200.
140 on 150. 50 questions.
50 questions.
140 on 150. So there was a student last year, not as I was saying, not our student, but I know him. He prepped and all. He scored 136. He still did not clear. And the reason for that is exactly what we keep stating in CAT and other exams. Interviews will formulate, probably 80% of your chances of getting into a program like this.
And that's not only true for PGDBA, that's
for
true for MBA also. So if you think you have got a high score and you don't need to prepare for interview, you'll probably meet us again next year.
Yeah, and I'll keep repeating this. If somebody asks me, the interview experiences that I have heard, this is probably going to be a slightly more grilling interview as well. Because it's focused to a particular area, and we all anyways know IIM Calcutta does like to grill, and they will question you quite a bit on your ACADS, basic mathematical concepts will be questioned quite a bit. So
basically they don't want to see कि दिल टूट गया CAT में तो यहाँ पे आ गए. Rebound में if you are coming, they may not be very happy with you. unless you can show you have good knowledge and understanding.
Absolutely. And I think, answering GP's question, I think that is the reason why the cutoff was probably slightly lower, because they want to interview more people. They want only those people who they feel deserve to be here. And that is something that you need to keep in mind.
And I know of a student at 108 marks who made it to the first, to this program.
Yeah, so that's how it works.
Okay. Before we move on to this, Gautam, kuch sawal le lete hain?
Yeah.
Okay. Sixth semester we had covered that, what to do. Is a comprehensive offering from CL available for both exam interview and PGDBA specifically?
Yeah, so we'll get into that.
Okay, so we'll get into that. Is my final year project was on market-based analysis. Can it be good talking point during PI process? I have no work experience postgrad. Yes, it will be a good talking point irrespective of which exam you go for, Ishita. PGDBA, MBA, every place it will be a very good discussion point. Make sure you have good thorough knowledge and understanding, not only of what you did, but the theory behind it. Many times people just forget that they need to be strong on the fundamentals also. Okay. Cutoff for reserve category, Gautam?
Yeah. The last year cutoff for reserve categories, OBC was roughly about 10 marks lower. So it was close to about 95, and SC/ST was close to about 74 or 75. But yeah, exact I think we will share in due course. But this was more or less it. And general was about 105.
Okay. How much time will it take for preparation of higher maths, given that I was good at 11th?
I think we've already answered that. The only thing that you probably need to spend a little bit more time on is going to be calculus. And I think 10, 15, 20 days more or less enough. And we'll probably, once GP talks a little bit more and I talk a little bit more about the program that we have to offer, that is exactly what we'll cover. So if you attend those classes, I think it'll be more than enough.
Yeah. It's started.
Okay, yeah. So, this caveat is something that we use everywhere because I think without that, it makes no sense. At the end of the day, whatever input we give, that will probably be 10% of what you need. 90% of it is going to come from you, which is that you go ahead and you say that I'm going to work hard, because I keep repeating, it's not just about clearing the exam, it's also about preparing yourself for your interview stage. So your knowledge needs to be good. Your basic fundas and concepts need to be good. So do keep that in mind. I'll just talk a little bit more about what the program is. So there's an program called PGDBA online classes. The classes happen in the evening because in general that's the ideal time for all of you all to go ahead, spend about 2 hours, prep a little and see what to do. So there'll be about 25 odd sessions that will be covered, and we're looking at completing the course by say end of Jan, max say probably the 5th of Feb, hopefully before that. So 25 sessions which cover everything. So we'll cover all the different sessions of verbal, we'll cover LRDI, we will cover the basic concepts of quant which you've already done in CAT, and then go in for the higher algebra, higher math sessions as well, including calculus, vectors, complex and so on and so forth. So there'll be about 25 odd sessions there. There'll be a couple of sessions on mock analysis and mock attempts as well. There are 5 mocks which are a part of the course as well. Along with that, there'll be sectional and topic tests that are also being created specifically for this program, which would also be there for you to go ahead and practice. As I said, some of it might be overlapping with CAT, not all of it. In math, at least the sectional test will be slightly different. Verbal and LRDI, in fact, it should probably be lesser than CAT either as well. So they'll also be there. This is the more or less, this is the breakup of classes. As you would have understood already, verbal and LRDI do not require that much, which is why the quant sessions eventually turn out to be about 16. Every single concept that we've discussed previously will be covered in your quant session. So you'll have sessions on limits, on continuity, on differentiation, on differential equations, on integration, and so on and so forth. So all of that will be covered. And as GP said, mock analysis and various other sessions that we keep having from Studio 8 anyways, which you are all aware of when it comes to CAT. So that's basically the broad breakup of what the classes are like. This is something that we always state. So what we are doing is, as a part of your class, now since it's a specifically online program as of today, we've already added certain ebooks to your platform for those who enroll. Please go through those ebooks, read them up, come, and once again, they are of higher level math, not the basic level, because you're already prepped for that with respect to CAT. Read the basic fundas and concepts, for the classes that will be announced beforehand. Come to class. Post that in class, we go ahead and, the methodology being used or the pedagogy being used is once again going to be question-based learning. So pick up a question, explain the question, and explain the concept basis the question. So that's basically the pedagogy that will be utilized as a part of this course. And then post that, go ahead, go back to the ebook, solve a few more questions, solve the unsolved questions of the class exercise that will be shared, and look at the sectional and topic test that will be a part of your aspiration. And then eventually go on to mocks once you've done a certain part of the syllabus. That's basically what the structure of the program is. So somebody was asking, is there a comprehensive? Yes, there is a comprehensive program. The URL was also shared earlier.
It does not, the comprehensive part that we asked for, including interviews. Including interviews not there, but you can add on interview.
You can add on interview post that. Yeah. So this program is currently just for the prep. So if you get an interview call, just add on to it and you go ahead for that as well. Yeah. So this is basically where everything happens. I'm sure all of you all already are aware of aspiration.ai, so I won't spend too much time there. As always, there will be a Telegram group where we go ahead and discuss. Some students who've already gone ahead and enrolled will know what happens here.
Question, Gautam.
Yeah.
Program already started, or will it start after that?
Okay, program has already started. We've had roughly about 3 to 4 sessions already. So the good part of this is, since it's an online program, all the sessions that you missed, you get the recorded version of those sessions in your aspiration already. And in case you have doubts, post it on the Telegram group, discuss them. In case it's needed, there could be another doubt solving session or another session on the same concept in case there are any issues that happen as well.
Will I get a discount if I'm a CL student?
Yeah, so that always happens, obviously. So go ahead, have a look at, I think the URL had been mentioned, so I'll just go back
to that
URL.
Check.
Yeah, the PGDBA online classes, the URL. Yeah, here. So just look at this, careerlauncher.com/cat-mbs/pgdba-online-classes. Go here, check this URL, you'll get all the info regarding pricing and all of that. Okay, moving ahead, as I spoke about, there will be a Telegram group, and at the end of the day, basically, as we keep stating, don't create a very detailed plan, because tell yourself, first of all, this is not something new in totality. This is just, as GP pointed out, that CAT plus or CAT plus plus. I prepped for CAT, I prepped for ZAT, I prepped for all these entrances, I'm ready. I need to prep for another 10-12 questions. That's the way I would keep my mindset. And those 10-12 questions basically are going to be over and above what I've already done. So I need a specific coaching or a specific preparation plan and study plan for that. That's all that you need to be focused on. And along with that, as we always state, a major part of preparation is your strategy for that particular exam. So, going ahead, 25% as GP pointed out, your 11-12 math, then the strategy of how I will spend those 3 hours in order to ensure that I score as high as possible. Obviously, it improves chances, but side by side, I'm also understanding my basics and concepts and strengthening them, because they will help me in my interview.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Couple of questions again. Sectional tests, when are they getting uploaded? Someone is asking.
Yeah, sectional tests will be uploaded by mid of next week itself.
Mm-hmm. Will we get more than 5 mocks?
No, there will be only 5 mocks.
Look at how much time do you have?
Correct.
Okay, even if you say I have to start taking mocks within 2 weeks of my preparation, the earliest you can take the paper is possibly mid-January. So mid-January to mid-February, you have got that 1 month. So maybe about 5 papers is all you can take, because you'll also have to do sectional tests on a regular basis. Remember, the focus here, I will turn around and say, while mocks have to be taken, I would want you to definitely take all the sectional tests of maths in this particular case, because that is where the 11th, 12th maths where you are lacking in practice. So the primary focus should be sectional tests of maths and mocks after that. Normally I tell everyone start mocks taking initially itself, but for PGDBA I will say don't start mocks before you have done a few sectional tests of maths, and maybe 20th or 25th January is when you should actually start taking mocks. Not before 20th January in any case.
I think that will be ideal. 20th Jan to say about 10th or 12th of Feb, because 16th ko agar exam hai, don't take any mocks from 13th to 15th for sure. So that's about 20-22 days for 5 mocks, 1 mock every 4 days. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Are there only online classes for PGDBA? Yes, there are only online
Currently,
classes.
yes.
Some students are asking for other courses also which they can apply to because they are not eligible. We'll have a separate session or I'll write a blog on that separately. But today's session we are focusing only on PGDBA because that's around the corner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Any other questions? Finally, a project also discussed in the 8th in the interview. Yes, Shivangi,
Absolutely.
it is. Especially if it is, okay, even if it is not connected to the program, even then finally a project is very, very important. Make sure you're thorough with it. Okay. Any other questions from your side?
Perfect. So this kind of covers, what we wanted to share. I hope you realized, the importance and how good this particular course is, and all of you all who are going ahead and prepping for your different papers, do go ahead and have a look at PGDBA as well as one of the, brighter options out there. And yeah, in case you have any more queries, our numbers are there. That's GP's number and mine as well. My WhatsApp number is not there. In case you want to WhatsApp, I keep stating that. I am one of those idiots who's got two different numbers, one for WhatsApp and one for calling. So my WhatsApp number is 9818-541-399. This is what happens when you shift base from Calcutta to Delhi. You want to keep your Cal number but also get a Delhi number. So this is what happens. Okay. So in case you want to reach out to me, that's my number, and GP's number for WhatsApp and call is the same. Is the same. Okay. So all the best, guys. Catch you all soon. And those of you all who prep for IFT, I think the results are expected perhaps on Monday. So all the best for that as well.
Yeah, just last couple of questions. Topic tests of higher maths will also be uploaded. Don't worry about them. How good is it for CA? What sort of career opportunity for CA PGDBA?
Very good. So once again, it's not about whether you're a CA, whether you're math, whether you're stats, whether you're eco, whether you're BCom, whether you're an engineer, whatever you've done. If you feel that you are interested in getting into a high-end, corporate job, being a cornerstone of a conglomerate, then this is going to be one of the best courses out there, because at the end of the day, any decision that you make, and as GP was pointing out, probably 5, 7, 8 years, and probably even earlier, down the line, every single decision made by a particular firm has to be backed by data. And I can't, stress enough on that. So even if you've done, irrespective of what you've done in your undergrads, what you've done till now, if you feel that, you're aiming there, this is a course for you. This is something that is going to give you great career opportunities. And we looked at the corporates out there, you're a CA, you'll get into any of those.
Kuntal, you don't have to be good in stats beforehand, but yes, you should be able to handle numbers and data. Yes. And the basic stats which you studied in 11th, 12th, if you are okay with it, you can go ahead with it. I am doing civil engineering and average in coding. Will it affect my chances getting in? No. In fact, most of the people who do engineering end up in coding jobs, irrespective of the branch, whether it is civil or metallurgical. It doesn't impact you there. It will not impact you here also. Okay. Now questions are coming in. IFT cutoff, we'll discuss that separately. Can you recommend topics to go through for stats, especially in cracking the interview?
Yeah, so I think, the basic concepts, mean, median, mode, measures of central tendency always hold. Add a little bit of variance, standard deviation and all to that. But yeah, if you know a little bit of, probability, hypothesis testing, t-test, chi-squared, t-test, z-test and so on and so forth, it will hold you in good stead. Little bit of understanding of the law of large numbers and so on and so forth. So I think basic stats, if you know about it, and most of this is something that you would have done if you had stats as an elective in your, engineering, or even if you had stats as a subject in BCom, eco, anywhere, you would have done this for sure. Yeah, so I don't think there is too much that you need to worry about here.
Okay.
Normal distribution, मतलब वो तो बोलने की भी जरूरत नहीं होनी चाहिए अब तो. वो तो you will need even in your, normal MBA interviews as well.
Okay. So we'll close the session. IFT cutoff क्या है अपना?
So IFT cutoff, as you all might realize, 5 questions which they've accepted as incorrect. 1 question which they've accepted as multiple answers possible. So there are people whose marks have increased almost by 24. 6 questions, plus 18, and they had gotten it wrong. So anywhere in the range of, 10 to 24 is where the marks have